All right, so I'm going to give you a demo of Storyline, and I'm going to show you how we create interactive experiences on chat platforms. It's pretty simple. I've got Storyline loaded up right here. I'm just going to refresh the page, make sure it's ready to go. All right, looks like it's ready to go. So it's pretty simple. We start out with this top bubble at the top. This entire column represents a mobile phone. So in this top bubble, this is what the user is actually going to see on their lock screen of their phone. This will end up being the notification. So I'm going to drop a notification title in there, and then I'm going to create a title for the story. And then what I'll do from there is I want to add an image to go along with it so the user has something interesting to see, right? And then in this second area, what I'm going to do, or this next bubble, is I'm going to add some text there and an emoji, right? So I'm going to add a little space right there. Okay, cool. Now I can also add like custom buttons. So when you click on the button, you have something interesting to look at. And what I'll do is I'll just replace this with that, right? So now I'm going to go to the next section. So when the user clicks this, this is what they'll see. So I'm going to add a little bit more to the story. Usually in this second section, what I like to add are, oftentimes what I'll do is I'll add the so what portion of the story. And that ends up being like really interesting because it kind of tells you exactly why it's important, why the story is important. So I'm going to add that. Okay. And then I'm going to add one more so what section. Okay. All right. So I'm going to add one more custom button. And then finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one last section to it. All right, cool. I'm actually going to go back. Change the name of that. All right, cool. So now that's one full story. So I could just send this right now to all my subscribers if I wanted to. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add one more story to what we're calling this newsletter. So I'm going to just click this down here, and this is going to jump up. And this way, when the user finishes the first story, they'll be able to just immediately and seamlessly jump in to the next one. So it's very similar. The process is the exact same. The only thing that's different is that there's no notification at the top because you're already going to be in the experience, or the user will. And so there's no need to do that. So what I'll do is I'll continue to create the second story. I'll add different pieces to the story, and then in similar fashion, I'm going to add a custom button for the user to click on. Just separate that with a little bit of space. Okay, cool. So that's that. And then I'm going to add the so what section. So like why it really matters or why it's interesting. All right. Okay, cool. So we got that. I'm going to add the second picture, which usually adds a little bit of color or flavor. You see these trash cans here. And we could remove one of these if we want, but usually it makes the story more interesting when you can add two pictures. You can add animated GIFs. We can even add video. That's coming real soon. We're going to drop that in the platform pretty quickly too. So I'm going to just add a little bit of space here. Cool. And then I'm going to just customize this last button here, right? And then I got one more section to add, and then we'll be all set, right? So I'll add that in there. And I'm going to just go back a little bit. All right, cool. So now we got two different stories in the newsletter. Open this up just a little bit. What I want to do now is click schedule. Okay, so now I can see the dates and times on which I can schedule, right? I see this date. Now, right now, it's about 9:55 or so, maybe a little later. And if I just click schedule now, because the time's already elapsed, it'll just go in the queue and go straight to my phone. So I'm not going to set this for a future time. We're here in New York. I'm going to just set it for right now. All right, and in about 10 seconds or so, whoever is a subscriber will receive it. And there it is, right? My phone just got it. So I'll show you what it looks like now when you receive it on a mobile phone. Right, on the phone. Now I want to check it out as a user. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just slide it open on that notification. Right? And here it is, right? So the first thing you see, is the bit at the top, right? That's the notification. And then there's the story, right? And you can kind of read the story right here. So if I'm a user and I read this little bit right in the middle, the new UK Foreign Secretary was accused of wild exaggerations and outright lies. So if I wanted to know, what was his reaction to that, I just click that button, right? And then it just reveals more of the story. It unfolds a little bit more. So, how did he take it? You can see Kerry's face there, and you say, okay, so what happened, right? And then there's the rest of it, right? So that ends up being the whole thing, how the story unfolds. Now there's some tools at the bottom where I can vote as a user. So maybe I think that's interesting, maybe I don't. Maybe I'm like, meh, and I punch that in, and then it gives me the next set of stories, right? And so it's very similar, it's the same thing. I kind of read the headline, check out the image, I see the bubble, and as I click on things, it reveals more and more about the story. So I can see the bubble, at the top. I can see the image. Even if I wanted to, I could click on that image and it would expand a little bit more. And I can scroll. I see that last bubble, and I can click on it and say, hey, what's that about? And then I get one final one. So that's really how you create an interactive experience, and then you distribute it, and that's the experience when the user actually sees it.